Well, good morning, Bakersfield. Surrounding communities, everybody watching online on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook Live. This is the Early Bird Special right here on this 27th day of January, a tampering Tuesday, if you will. I'm Chris Burdick. That is Sparky. Sparky, good morning.
Good
Let
morning.
them know what they're in for, my friend.
Fog delays.
Yeah, no kidding.
30 plus fog
My
delays.
God.
I had to drive 8 to 10 miles per hour all the way to work this morning.
Okay, am I the only one? I've lived here my entire damn life, and if you're not in Bakersfield, you have no idea what the hell we're talking about, and I apologize. We'll get back to everybody, I promise. But here in Bakersfield, God, can I open the window and show them? Is that possible? I don't even know if it's going to be able to be seen. It is literally white outside. If you've ever played Silent Hill, that's what we look like right now. It is absolutely ridiculous.
That's a good one right
I'm
there.
waiting for Pyramid Head to come around the corner.
I got up early like usual,
Oh, of
and
course.
I'm driving.
Was there anybody even on the road?
There's like 6 or 7
I was gonna
cars, or
say.
7 or 8 cars. I mean, jeez.
So yes, if you're listening
But
to us
yeah,
right now,
drive slow.
if your parents have you in the car,
Turn
taking
around.
you to work, or taking you to work with them, trying to take you to school, you're not going to be going to school for a couple hours, kid.
Yeah,
Sorry.
my son texted me. He had 0 periods today. He's like, "Nope, not
no,
today.
you do not.
I don't have to be at
Absolutely
school
not.
until 10:30."
You don't got nothing in 0 period, kid. I promise you right now, there ain't a teacher alive that's at school.
No.
No.
But good luck, everybody. Drive safe, drive
Yes.
slower, and don't put your brights on. It does not help
No.
at all.
And also be aware that I'm more talking to big rig trucks, okay? Because we right here on Easton Drive have a little back street that usually big rigs like to go down, and they have to drop a lot of stuff off to the businesses around here. So I understand, but if you park in the middle of the street in that little divider where it's supposed to be the left turn lane, everybody knows what I'm talking about here.
Mhm.
Turn your damn lights off.
Right.
You're blinding everybody coming the other way, dude. Turn your lights off.
3 out of the 7 cars this morning all had brights on.
You have the side lights for a reason, so everybody can still see you. Turn your headlights off.
And look at this. Burdick is driving across the street.
No kidding. And I'm still sitting there thinking, I'm going to die. I'm going to die today.
Yes, just drive slow. But today we got a jam-packed show. Not only will be we'll have to get into this Pro Bowl because now it's even a joke of a joke, and we'll get into that. Plus, we got all sorts of headlines to talk about, head coach vacancies. Plus, we'll talk a little wrestling.
Yes, we will.
Post SmackDown, post Saturday night main event, post Monday Night Raw. We'll have our boy 24KG.
But it is pre-Royal Rumble, which is this weekend.
My favorite
Live
PLE
in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. It'll, I think, take place during the day for you WWE fans out there. So look out for it during the day.
It's early.
I think it's supposed. I'll double check during the break, but it's supposed to be earlier. It's supposed to be, I think, around 1 or 2, if I'm not mistaken.
Nice. Well, we have our grand opening. If you didn't know, we have our grand opening of the basement live concert venue down at the basement in the Woolworths building. Get your tickets now. Find the basement on your Instagram or social media. But yes, I was hoping the Royal Rumble would be early.
I think it's
ahead of the show.
Usually when they're overseas, obviously they're a little bit earlier. Now, obviously Australia is where you get it in the beginning of the morning. But I think if I remember correctly, Saudi Arabia, they usually shoot for around noonish. I could be wrong, though. I'll double check. But you're absolutely right. Go out to the basement this weekend at the Woolworths building where you'll possibly see David Davies and Nico Rubio, 2 fantastic artists. And honestly, I can't wait to check it out. I am very excited for the soft opening tomorrow as well. But no.
What's soft opening?
No soft opening tomorrow?
What do you speak of?
All right. Well, sorry. Didn't know that. My bad.
That's called it's a soft.
The soft.
Yes.
Okay.
But no, we will get into a lot of. We've got jam-packed shows all week. But I'm excited to talk wrestling with KG because there is some good stories brewing.
And honestly, I saw a story today that I have to float to YouTube, but they're already calling the MFT and Wyatt Six beef the worst feud of the year.
It is pretty bad.
It was so bad.
It is.
And that really disappoints me because you all know how much I love Bray and this entire Wyatt Six idea that they have.
It just feels like they're lost with the Wyatts.
They don't know what to do with them. They really don't. I don't think the writers know what to do with the character like that anymore. They're too based in realism. And when you go into a space like this where the characters are obviously characters, like this isn't really a branch off of reality. This is just some fun Halloween type stuff. it's hard to really put them in anything if you don't know the right way to write them. But they've been doing fantastic work in
It seemed
AAA.
like it'd be easy.
Yeah, it seems like it, but it's never that easy. Let's be fair. Let's talk about something that's also not that easy, and that's handling this tampering situation in the NCAA, because the NCAA has announced already this morning that they're going to be looking into certain tampering allegations against a brand new head coach of the Ole Miss Rebels, or at least new head coach of the Ole Miss Rebels. Pete Golding has been called out by Clemson head coach Dabo Swinney last week. This happened after the show, so we weren't able to talk about it. We didn't get a chance to talk about it yesterday. They've made some developments in the story, though. Dabo is claiming, this is all alleged, by the way, they're looking into this, but Dabo is claiming that Ole Miss and head coach Pete Golding have made multiple text messages and attempts at pulling away a kid that just signed to Clemson in the transfer portal. And the way they're going about this is wild. I'm going to let Dabo say it because we got some audio from the press conference that lasted over an hour. And this is unprecedented. We'll get to Pete Thamel in a second, who is the authority on the NCAA. He talked to the Pat McAfee show yesterday and kind of broke down what he sees happening out of this. But let's hear first from Dabo and the allegations against Ole Miss and head coach Pete Golding.
And Luke communicated to Jordan and to Ben Boulware that Pete texted him on Wednesday morning, the head coach at Ole Miss, when he was in his 8 a.m. class. And he said, the text message said, "I know you're signed. What's the buyout?" And he also, Luke said that Coach Golding also texted him a picture of a $1 million contract. Luke also mentioned to Jordan and to Ben that Coach Golding had Trinidad Chambliss call him from his phone, and that Coach Golding was there continuing to talk on his phone to push him to re-enter the transfer portal. He also said that Jackson Dart had reached out and called him. This is obviously a crazy time. We turned everything in to the NCAA. And I'm just going to say this. This is like, there's tampering and then there's blatant tampering. You know, tampering 101 is when you're talking to kids who aren't in the portal. Tampering 201 is when you've already negotiated the deal with the kids not in the portal. Tampering 301 is when you got a kid who's gone in the portal, signed somewhere, moved there, gone to classes, and you're texting them while they're in class. That's like a whole nother level of tampering. And it's total hypocrisy, because all this is going on while they, on the other side, are trying to fight their defensive end from going in the portal. They have accused publicly others of tampering with their roster and their players while they are over here tampering.
So, to further set the table for those of you who are still somewhat lost, the player that coach is talking about is Luke Farrelly. Luke Farrelly was one of the top defensive linebackers at Cal last year. And Luke Farrelly, for the last couple weeks during the transfer portal, had meetings with Clemson and with Ole Miss and chose Clemson. So much so that he even has already, like Coach said, started classes at Clemson, has started pre-season workouts with the football team. He has an apartment there. Like, he has signed the deal. And what Coach Swinney is alleging here is that the Ole Miss coach, Pete Golding, never gave up and came hard. And they reached out when Luke's agent told them, hey, Ole Miss is still pushing really hard, like really hard, even though they are fully aware we signed. So Coach Swinney told the agent, well, tell them we're not interested. And then that's when the text messages came through. The agent told the AD over at Ole Miss. The Ole Miss AD said, well, we take tampering very seriously, but, and this is a quote, Coach Golding's going to do what Coach Golding's going to do. That tells me all I need to know, first and foremost. Now, for those of you who have been watching or following college sports for a long time, tampering is a part of college sports. It is there. You'll hear Pete Thamel say it here in a second, who is the authority on all of this, and he is well aware this stuff has been in NCAA forever. And Coach Sweeney is probably one of the only coaches in the NCAA that don't play that game like that. Like, don't get me wrong, he still tampers. Everybody tampers. But he's not going to be sitting there sending contracts or pictures of contracts, rather, worth millions of dollars or $1 million, as he is alleging, to pull someone away and kind of force them into the transfer portal after just signing with somebody. And mind you, this is all coming on the heels of a couple major transfer portal stories that we've talked about on this show. Mensa over at Duke, who just barely came to an agreement today, this morning, with the University of Duke for his move, and potentially he will be headed to the University of Miami now. There was the Washington fiasco with Williams Jr., where he decided, okay, I'm not going to break my contract and come over. This is the other side of the coin that really makes me worried about this, though, is that we've already talked about how these kids don't fully understand how serious a contract is. And now you're going to play this game where if they think you clearly don't care about how other people's contracts roll, you think they're going to care about the contract that you're trying to get them to sign? Does anybody else kind of get that idea here? Like, if you're a coach telling this kid, imagine if Luke said yes. Let's say that. Let's start there. Imagine if Luke just told Coach Sweeney, you know what? I changed my mind. I'm going to Ole Miss. I'm sorry. I know I just started practice with y'all, but I'm out. I'm gone. Breaking another contract, getting him in trouble legally. Do you think he's even thinking about that? No, because all he's thinking is, Coach Golding's got my back. He'll get me out of it.
Yeah, that's his agent's job.
Exactly. So you are ruining possibilities for these young players, these good young players. And honestly, just giving them a false sense of hope in a way, because this isn't okay, or at least this version of tampering is not okay. Let's hear from Pete Thamel real quick. We'll go with the first one and him explaining how tampering well, actually, you know what? No, I've already kind of explained that. Tampering is in the NCAA. We're all fully aware of that. And across the entire league right now, people are applauding Dabo for this, because obviously Dabo is one of those coaches that can step forward and really call out this kind of thing, because he keeps his backyard clean, as you'll hear Mr. Thamel talk about. But there's also a caveat to this. So let's hear Mr. Thamel real quick. Number 2, Sparky, if you could.
Around the industry, Dabo's move was like wildly applauded, because in general, people want rules, right? Like in general, people want paradigms, guardrails, however you want to say it. Like people want rules, they want them to be followed. But college football, as we know, and college athletics in general, have a rich history of rules being made and people finding ways around the rules. And it is the least surprising development in the history of college athletics that this iteration we're in right now has followed along with that, with the CSC and the in the NCAA. Like, people thought it was the NCAA that couldn't enforce the rules, but the reality that we're learning is nobody wanted to follow the rules, so they're not going to until someone forces them to do it.
So at the end of the day, until guardrails are put up, like Coach Sweeney says, there's really nothing that's going to be done about this. And even though they're looking into these allegations, there's probably not going to be a major punishment. So,
if at all.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on this, Spark? I mean, is this just something that we're going to have to get used to in the college game now? Is tampering going to be there regardless? And is this just a dangerous precedent that everybody is setting because they're not willing to call out other coaches, because they know the minute they get called out, everything is going to point right back at them?
I think you just hit it with the guardrails. I think unless the NCAA steps in and puts some punishments out, I mean, this thing is going to get as crazy as the Wild Wild West. It's already been like that. I mean, players, coaches. I mean, we just dealt with that with coaches. You're under contract, and a different coach, a bigger team or a bigger college can, okay, he signed for this much. We can double that. We can make more. And I just think there's rules and then there's punishments.
Right.
You can make the rules. All these colleges are obviously not going to listen to the tampering issues until somebody is made an example of.
Right. And that's the issue that I'm seeing, because let's play spot 3 here from Pete Thamel, who again is the authority on all sports in the NCAA. He follows and covers all of it for ESPN. And even he says this is never going to stop.
It is not all going to be stopped. I am convicted on that. I do think if there is a punishment to Pete Golding for these allegations, and again, they are just allegations, it could curb or maybe change behavior or de-incentivize that kind of behavior, or they could have third parties do it, et cetera, et cetera. The rare part of this is the allegations are that the head coach was, this direct in the tampering allegations. Now, look, Dabo laid out pretty clear these things. What we don't know is, do they have copies of the text messages, or were those just verbally articulated? Is there actual hard evidence of this? And that's ultimately what it's going to come down to from an NCAA standpoint.
And that's the problem. If we aren't willing to put teeth in the punishment, then it's never going to stop. And Dabo has already brought up a really good point. Look, man, tampering is never going away. I think Dabo knows that. That's what he's trying to explain at the end of the bite there that we played you. There are multiple types of tampering. There's talking to a kid who's not in the transfer portal after a game. You know what I mean? Him walking up to one of the Weeks brothers at LSU after the game and saying, "Hey, man, you'd look really great in orange." And then you meet with that kid and he's still not in the transfer portal, and you sit there and break down a deal. You know, you get $2 million over there at LSU, but we'll give you $4 million over there at Clemson. That's all tampering. But this is blatant. This is terrible. And it's proof. Like, if they actually have proof of this, if they can show that they have the text messages from Golding saying, "Here's $1 million contract, kid, come sign it." How can you not punish him? How? Because one way is a word of mouth and the other one is full-blown proof. And honestly, again, coming from me, after the incredible season that Ole Miss just pulled off, this is an absolute terrible thing to see. And for a first-year head coach, technically, because this would be your first year as the head coach for the Rebels, this is a terrible way to start. Terrible way to start. Because now with the NCAA looking in on you, if they do decide to put some sort of punishment down on you, maybe you have to sit out the first 2-3 games of the season, because that's basically what I'm assuming is going to happen if they give any punishment at all.
I'd be surprised if they do anything.
I would be too, if I'm being completely honest. But if they do, let's be fair and say they give them a game, 2 games, like they did more a couple years ago before he actually started getting going there. Is that even enough?
No.
Is that even something that's coaches are going to look at and say, "Oh, you mean I just got to hand over play calling to the coordinators for 2 games?" And those first 2 games are usually the FCS and some Joe Blow from the American Conference. Yeah, they don't give a damn. Do what baseball does. You get caught for something serious like this, you're eliminated from the playoffs. You're eliminated from postseason. That would get every coach's attention. That would stop every coach from even considering talking to a kid that is not in the transfer portal.
Or they'll get sneakier.
That's possible too.
No, what'll happen. There's no stopping to the tampering. And ever since, I mean, even years back, tampering's been around forever. I won't go past that, but I'm just saying when the portal opened, there's all these loose holes of things that are happening that they weren't prepared for. And this is just another sign of it.
You're right. I mean, even Pete Thamel is saying it's not going anywhere. It's never going to end. And maybe that's true. But I feel like if you just put some sort of teeth in it, if you made this where
make an example out of him.
Yeah, it would only make sense to me that this would change. And I mean, if you're willing to do that with the players, because let's be honest, when it comes to guys or players like Damon Williams Jr. from Washington or Darian Mensah from Duke, they were ready to make an example out of those kids. They were ready to tell them, you can't play for a whole year because you signed a contract with a certain team. But you're not willing to make that example with the guys who are supposed to be leading those young men, who are supposed to be teaching those young men. And beyond that, like Dabo says as well, you're supposed to be setting an example for younger coaches who are supposed to be coming in after you. Do we want this to get worse or do we want it to get better? So again, that's where I'm at with this. If you want this stuff to get better, you've got to put teeth in it. You have to. But as Sparky just said, they're probably just going to get sneakier. I mean, we've dealt with tampering and like Pete Thamel said in that bite, guys going around the rules since the NCAA has been a thing. So realistically, I'm probably just talking into the ether right now, and every single NCAA organization's laughing at me as they say, yeah, that's never going to happen, kid. But personally, I think that's the only way to really get this thing fixed. It's just, that's the first thing that popped up in my head when I was reading about this yesterday. Love to hear your guys' thoughts as well. 661-842-2000. Feel free, text in or call in. We would love to hear from you guys. Let's take a break real quick. We'll shift over to the NFL as they have made one of the most peculiar decisions in the Pro Bowl in recent years. I mean, I get it, but I don't get it. But we'll explain what happened on the other side. This is the Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk. Welcome back. Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk, 101.1 FM, 1230 AM. We're also streaming video live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. You can join us every single morning from 7 to 9, or go back on our YouTube channel. You can check out every one of our old episodes. They're all right there for you. And, you know, I know we're sitting here talking about NCAA football and what they need to do about this whole tampering situation. We haven't even gotten into the basketball thing. Having G League players come back and play at certain colleges, Baylor, Alabama, and Nate Oates. I'm telling, if there's one NCAA coach you should remember his name, it's Mr. Oates from Alabama, because that man, I mean, we're talking about hypocrisy, but we'll get into that whenever we get the chance. Let's get over to the NFL, as they made a very interesting move yesterday, choosing Shedeur Sanders as the fill-in for Drake May in the Pro Bowl. Sparky, do you remember the last time a Pro Bowl quarterback had more interceptions than touchdowns in a season?
No.
Yeah, I don't either. If there's ever been an instance that we needed some evidence that these all-star games, Pro Bowl, you know, whatever the hell you want to call it, popularity contest.
Give him Rookie of the Year, too.
Might as well. I mean, he's in the Pro Bowl, is he not? Tyler Shuck's not in the Pro Bowl.
Right.
I mean, Jackson Dart is not in the Pro Bowl. Now, granted, they're not in the AFC, but that doesn't matter. You're so willing to throw Shedeur in there? And now everybody's sitting there. It was a joke, I assume, but everybody's on the internet saying, oh, look, Kevin Stefanski made a rookie quarterback a Pro Bowler, then they fired him.
He did?
He did, technically. You're absolutely right. He's got to get credit for it.
Is Dylan Gabriel his backup?
Yeah. Again, this whole thing just it
just shows the Pro Bowl is a joke.
It is. 100%. I have to agree with you there. However, I do agree with Marcus Spears, because I did hear this yesterday, and let's go ahead and play Marcus's thoughts on this, because this is the only reason that I could see the NFL greenlighting this. But let's hear from Marcus Spears.
I get it from the NFL perspective. He's one of the most followed football players in the world, in America for sure. And it's about bringing eyes, because I thought when I first heard it, what about Cam Ward? What about the run that Tyler Shull had in New Orleans if you wanted to put a young quarterback in this? But this is about marketing. That's the only thing I can derive from it. It's about one of the guys and the biggest names in the league coming to make the Pro Bowl more interesting. The NFL has to figure out what to do with the Pro Bowl games now, but I understand Shedeur Sanders being in it, and this is my perspective on it, is that he's going to bring some eyes that wouldn't necessarily be there.
That's the only thing I can think of, is that he is such a draw for the NFL that they could not put him in there. It's just the marketing aspect of it. Now, I'm not saying this was the right move at all, but that's the only viable thought that I had when this was announced, was they had to have been doing this for money reasons. There's no other way I could possibly spin this. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I pretty much said it. I think it's a joke, just like the Pro Bowl. I think I can get it if he was probably voted in by fans, which I could understand,
or even voted in by players.
But I just don't. If the Pro Bowl is for all-stars, which obviously it's not. I mean, there was some former players, tweeting out yesterday calling, the Pro Bowl a joke, and there's linemen that have been, all pro, but not ever gotten into a Pro Bowl. It makes zero sense. I won't be watching it just because I don't watch the Pro Bowl anymore.
No, I didn't plan on watching it anyway.
I don't think this opens up where I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be more entertaining, and watch him go out and sling it. But I'm not going to be watching. I'm not interested.
Is in your mind, because this also popped up in mine, do you kind of feel like this is the NFL saying, I'm sorry for making you have to deal with all this Stefanski BS? You know what I mean?
I think they're just reaching for straws, trying to get some type of viewership. And I still think the Pro Bowl is going to be, if it's not done after this season, it's coming to an end very soon.
Well, and how long do you think that would be? Because I mean, I've had the same thought in my head. It's like, when are we just going to throw this out and just say, you know what?
Have the award show, have the all-star team or whatever.
Have a party
and never
or something.
play. Yeah.
do something like that, because honestly, the players don't want to play in it. The fans barely even watch it on television.
If anything, follow suit with the WWE, where they have like
Right.
the Fanatic Fest type
Yes,
thing, where they get
exactly.
that, they team up with, Golden or Fanatics, and have an event for
great
the
idea.
fans to meet the players. Maybe throw play catch with them.
Yep.
Throw the ball through the
Yeah.
the tires,
Fan
whatever.
interaction.
But
Yeah.
I don't see anything positive coming out of a flag football game with players, especially how injury prone these players are. I mean, if we get a real Pro Bowler, tears ACL in a flag football game,
Right.
then they're really backtracking.
Right. And I think that is one of the biggest fears as well, which is why they moved it to flag, because the last thing they want is somebody getting hurt during the Pro Bowl. This entire thing just doesn't make sense. I agree with you. I think that the best move would be just do like a fan experience, have the teams be there, and then every one of their, fans get to walk up and see their favorite player and take a picture with them. And like I said, maybe play catch. And you can even have the games that you have on Saturdays that you're trying to copy the NBA, let's be honest, but you can still have those games and play them against the fans instead. Like, I could totally see that. And the NFL would make ridiculous amounts of money off of that. But
I mean, that's what it's supposed to be all about, right?
Yeah.
Fan experiences. And, with all the money, with all the streaming options that us NFL fans are paying.
And it would also give you the opportunity to move it to different cities every single year, because obviously, like, you can just set up in Hawaii like you used to, or you can just go to every single team, team city rather, I apologize, and set up, like you said, the Fanatics Fest there for the year.
Make it an annual thing and do it in all the stadiums.
Right. And it's something that you could possibly pull off. And you know what? Maybe that's the case. Maybe instead of doing it at one central location, everybody does it, and just the Pro Bowlers from that team show up. Now, that does kind of leave out some teams, though, because there are certain teams that don't get Pro Bowlers, but
everyone's a Pro Bowler.
Yeah, I mean, if Shadur's a Pro Bowler, then I'm pretty sure I could find some other guys that deserve to be in there. And I'm a Shadur fan. I mean, again,
you got Tua type stats. Where's Tua at?
Dude, I looked at the stat line and I was like, bud, he's got 7 touchdowns and 11 interceptions.
Uh-huh.
Like, as big of a fan
and
of
a
this
losing
as
record.
I am. Yeah, I can't say he deserved to be in a Pro Bowl. Cam Ward deserved to be in there before him. Like, are we serious? This is just one of those instances where I look at the NFL and say, man, you guys just can't get any more money hungry, can you? Can you? Just, nah.
There's better ways to make money.
All that. Well, apparently not, because I mean, there are certain players that you could have made a lot of money on that you guys just shoved right out the door, Johnny Manziel.
That's horrible.
But again, it is what it is. That's what the Pro Bowl has become, and now we get to all deal with it. And hopefully, if you watch it, chime in. Let us know if you guys enjoy it. I personally have stopped enjoying the Pro Bowl for years. I mean, if you've been a fan of this show and been following us for a while, you know how our thoughts are on all these all-star games, because let's be honest, outside of the home run derby, there's really no highlight anymore. And since we're on this topic already, we could actually shift over to the NBA, because they've announced a lot of their stuff for the all-star game, including the Rising Stars roster, the G League, and all that. But the big story that's coming out of it is the slam dunk contest will not have its reigning champion, as Mac McClung has decided he will not take place in the slam dunk contest this year. This is just another guy in a list of names of great dunkers that's just saying, meh.
I won it 3 years in a row. What else do you want from me?
Right. It's just like, when you don't get anybody in there that's actually competition for this guy to go up against, when you can't convince guys like Aaron Gordon and all them to come back to do it. I mean, again, we're talking about all-star games falling flat on their face here. The NBA's has been going that way and trajecting straight down for what, Sparky? About 5-6 years now?
Yeah, at least.
Ever since that Aaron Gordon, Zach LaVine slam dunk contest?
Yeah.
That was probably the best one.
And no one,
I
mean, the all-star game, the festivities.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone I've talked to, they look forward to the 3-point contest. And even that isn't even getting 3-point shooters to play in it.
Heck no.
And I mean, there's only so many dunks that you can do where it just gets redundant and silly. And I think it's one of those things that they have to either scrap or find something else to do with it.
I've been saying this for a couple years now, but go get a street baller. Go get somebody in. Is and one still a thing? I don't even know. Like somebody that's not in the NBA that's
Big three.
known for dunking. That
The
is
street ball
out
ones.
there.
Yeah.
There are a ton of them. And honestly, they would put on a better show than the NBA players, and you would allow the NBA players to take a break like they want.
Yeah, let them watch it and grade it.
Right, exactly. Go get the best dunkers that would be in the contest and have them be the judges instead of being the dunkers. And honestly, that gets rid of a lot of the discrepancy from the judges, because let's not deny that always comes down to it as well, is that there's always one judge that has to be the guy who says, no, that's not a 50, that's a 48. It's like, God, can you just
get up and do it?
Exactly. Thanks, Kenny. Thanks, Rocket. Like, you want to try to dunk yourself? Nah, you didn't do that when you were actually playing either. But I agree with you. I think if you go get the players that were supposed to be in the contest, have them be the judges instead, and then go get some street ball dunkers, some unknown names.
See, I would watch that.
I would watch that. I'd watch the hell out of that. And honestly, the 3-point contest, you need to demand it. I don't care if Steph Curry don't want to do it anymore. Get their butts in there. They have to do it. Honestly, I think it needs to go back to the Jason Capono situation. Until that man is dethroned, he does not take he doesn't leave the contest. Sorry. You have to be beaten in order to be taken out of the contest.
Or maybe the best dunk from the previous year or the first half of the season. Have the fans vote on the best dunk of the season. That person is now going up against the street ballers.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I'm just saying, don't let them select where they're going. They're under contract. You know what I mean? If you had a dunk that was, I get the posts all the time on social media, the dunk of the year. And it would be more exciting, and people would watch, the highlights. They would watch during the season to vote on these things.
Hear me out on this as well. What if we threw a defender in there that was meant to actually block you? Okay. Not just somebody that's standing there for you to jump over, but somebody that's literally there, that you're there to posterize. That I think would be interesting as well, because it brings a sense of competition. And instead of these guys going up, do some crazy like windmill through the legs, and missing, you now have to go, okay, how the heck do I dunk on Bol Bol? How do I do this in an interesting way that no one's seen it in a game? Because imagine Vince Carter's dunk from one side of the court, or the rim to the other, where he goes under and over.
Yeah.
Imagine that on an actual defender. That would be incredible. But I don't know. There's got to be something we could do to spice this up. And since right before we go to break, let's talk about the actual young players that'll be in the Rising Stars Challenge. The rookies that have been selected: Cooper Flagg, nobody's surprised there. Cedric Coward, Igor Damon from Brooklyn, VJ Edgecombe, Jeremiah Fears, Dylan Harper, Trey Johnson, Cone Knuppel, Colin Murray Boyles, and Derek Queen will all be the rookies representing the NBA. The sophomores, Matthias, Buzelis, the guy from Chicago. How do you say his last name? Buzelis, is that right? Oh, cool. Stephon Castle, Donovan Klingen, Kayshawn George, RJ Mitchell, Alex Starr, Reed Shepard, Cam Spencer, Jalen Tyson, Khalil Ware, and Jalen Wells will all be your sophomores. And then the G League, we got Sean East II, Yang Hansen, Ron Harper Jr., David Jones Garcia, Yannick Cohn. Oh my Lord, Neidheiser, I'm going to say. I'm not 100% sure on that one. I apologize. Elijah Martin and Tristan Newton will be the teams. Now, it is going to be a little bit of a different Rising Stars Challenge if you are a fan of this entire game on Friday. I believe this is going to be kind of like what the All-Star game was. It'll be 3 teams going up against each other and then cycling. And then the final 2 teams who won their first 2 games will be playing for the inevitable championship of the whole thing. Should be somewhat entertaining if you enjoy watching a lot of these young rising stars play together. I am going to be very, very curious to see how Cooper Flagg and VJ Edgecombe come out in this game, because this is usually where you see the rookie of the year shine the brightest against his cohorts, And in my personal opinion, those 2 are the runaways right now for the rookie of the year. So we'll see how all this goes. Again, hopefully this is going to be more entertaining than the actual All-Star game itself, because God only knows That's gone down the toilet as well. We'll see what happens. But like I said, I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer on all the all-star stuff, but personally, a lot of this stuff has just become really, really rough to watch. It really has.
Get rid of them all.
Yeah, it is what it is. Text in 661-842-2000 or feel free to call. We would love to hear from you guys. What are your thoughts on all of this? The All-Star game coming up, the Pro Bowl, Shedeur Sanders, feel free. Or you could text into the comment section down there on YouTube as well. We'll be able to see that and shout it out. Let's take a break. We'll get into some other stuff in the NFL on the other side. Some coaching news has come out, and Adam Schefter says that we should know all of the new head coaches for these vacancies potentially by tomorrow. But we'll see what happens in that area. This is the Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk. Welcome back. Early Bird Special. Right here on KGEO Sports Talk, 101.1 FM, 1230 a.m. We're also streaming video live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Join us at the Early Bird Special. You can also find us on Instagram and TikTok as well.
A listener said Snoop Huntley was 1-4 and was a Pro Bowler.
Was he really? Well, okay. Record or touchdown to interception ratio? Because record, I can get around. That is what it is. If you're a really good player on a bad team, you still deserve to be a Pro Bowler. But if it was 1 touchdown to 4 interceptions, I got questions. I got a lot of questions. But And when it comes to Shador, I just, again, I'm a fan. I love Shador. I want Shador to succeed. I really do. But not like this. This is a charity case. This is the worst possible idea. Honestly, if I were him, I know he took it just because, obviously it's the experience of being a Pro Bowler, and no rookie would probably say no to that. But does this not feel like a charity case to anybody else?
Little bit. And speaking of the Sanders, I wanted to bring this up and see what you thought. But Dion coming out with a list of fines for players this year.
Oh.
And he is
At
going
Colorado?
down. Yeah, he
Oh,
was
Lord.
listed and sent out this big memo
Oh, Lord.
saying this the system of fines for the Buffalo players as part of an accountability push ahead of this season. Under the new rules, players can lose thousands and in NIL money, missing practice $2,500, being late $500, skipping meetings, workouts, and even social media misconduct, up to $5,000 fines.
Wow.
And he said this policy is what I think this team needs discipline and to clean up their 3-9 season.
You know what? One, I agree with him on the end part of that. The discipline part of this makes a lot of sense. And you're teaching the boys responsibility when it comes to money, because when they're in the pros and you miss practices or you decide, I don't want to show up to training camp, guess what happens? You get fined. So I'm all for it. Now, the amount, though, my God, $2,000 for missing a practice?
$5,000 for getting cute on social media. I like that.
I like that too. Don't get me
wrong. But you can tell it's coming from a father / coach.
Oh yeah, no, 100%.
Other coaches are, trying to, send pictures and, get this guy over for $1 million check and a text while he's in class. This guy is trying to discipline players.
And that's what I'm saying.
And look, show them.
There are two different types of coaches. There's the Dabo Sweeney and Deion Sanders, and then there's the Goldings. You know what I mean? Like, I like this. I think this is what coaches should be doing, especially in this uncharted territory that we are in the NCAA. You've got to teach these guys that money it'll come and go. It's not the end all be all. And you got to teach these guys responsibility earlier than they would previously, because if you don't, they're just going to have really, really, really messed up, college experiences that turn into professional experiences that get worse. So personally, I'm all for Deion stepping up and making these kids, just be responsible, show up to practice. And he's right. For the talent that Colorado has on that roster, you should not have had a record like that. And if this is the first step in him turning that around, so be it. So be it. Now, would he have ever done this when Travis and his sons were there? Probably not. But look, man, they were better. They were good when Travis and Shador were there. So you can't necessarily take that away from him.
And the listener said it was his record. Huntley had 666 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 3 picks. Was a Pro Bowler.
See, that's not a Pro Bowler. That's not a Pro Bowler. I love Snoop, but that's not a Pro Bowler. This is what I'm talking about. Like, oh, God. We're not doing the right things to fix a lot of this stuff, and it really breaks my heart.
Is it the last straw? I mean,
No.
Are they just reaching for something?
No, because it's like the tampering thing, dude.
Are the players excited about these Pro Bowlers? Because what I've read from former players, they didn't give a damn about it except the check.
Honestly, most of them couldn't have cared less about the Pro Bowl. All they cared about was the trip to Hawaii with their family. That's why I'm saying no. I don't think this changes anything. I don't think the NFL cares. As long as they keep getting money, they're not going to give a damn. Honestly, there's a lot of that in sports. There's stuff with that with NFL, within the NFL, within the NCAA, within Notre Dame as a school as a whole. Like, until drastic changes happen, no one's going to change anything. One of the things that I didn't cut that I was going to talk about was the other part of the conversation with Pat McAfee and Pete Thamel was the 16 game to 24 game change and the new rules that come with the college football playoff. Because if you've been following, yes, we didn't get the extension to 16 teams like we were hoping and the SEC was hoping. And all of that was due to infighting between Greg Sankey and the commissioner of the Big Ten, who essentially run the college football playoff, and they couldn't find an agreement to, extend it to 16 and then 24 for the Big Ten is what they want. But the biggest thing was that they restructured how teams get into the college football playoff. Now, all Power Four or conferences all get in, or the winner of all four of those conferences get in, no matter what. Duke would have been in just solely for winning the ACC, which means Miami, the team that made it to the final, would not have been in. And then the other thing that they've changed as well was if Notre Dame at all is in the top 12 in the college football rankings, they also get an automatic bid because they're not in a conference. See, and personally, you guys know how I feel about the favoritism to Notre Dame. I find it ridiculous. I really do. But I didn't want to bore you guys with my gripes of Notre Dame. Okay. You guys have heard me say it a million times. But that's kind of the point that I'm making here. The point that Pete Thamel makes when it comes to Notre Dame is until people literally stop scheduling them all together, it's never going to change. They're never going to not be in a conference. And the same thing with this type of stuff. The same thing with tampering. Until people are really willing to step up and make a freaking change and put some teeth into a lot of stuff, none of this is going to change. And we're going to keep seeing all of these types of stories over and over and over until inevitably someone says, this is dumb. This isn't football, or this isn't whatever the heck sport you're playing at the time. So no, I don't think that anything is going to change, especially with the NFL. They make money. They make a ton of money doing what they do. And honestly, they're going to make a crap ton of money on Shador Sanders Pro Bowl jerseys. They really are. Can you imagine, dude?
And now it'll just be a joke.
Yes. But across the country, there's going to be fans of Shador that really don't care about football that are just going to buy the jersey just solely because he's a Pro Bowler. And are probably going to talk about Shador as if he's the next big quarterback because he was a Pro Bowler as a rookie, even though you're not really paying attention to the story behind it. So that's kind of what bugs me about the whole thing. But that's why I hate that this seems to me like a charity case, because it seems to me that the NFL just said, you know what, you went through a lot. There was clear indications that Stefanski was even, going out of his way to make you look bad at times. So we're going to benefit that. Like, well, you probably would have been better if that wasn't the case. So here's a Pro Bowl spot. Like, that seems really dumb, especially for a player that didn't play half the season. Like, Marcus Spears said it perfectly. This is a money move. This is a marketing move. It's the only thing that makes sense. And it just further shows how money hungry the NFL is. It really does. And honestly, the NCAA ain't very much behind it. So let's take a break. We're going to get into some wrestling with our friend 24KG. They just announced the new cover athlete for their latest video game, 2K26. And Sparky was 1000% right on who it was. But there's some other covers that we're going to talk about as well, because they made some nods to the Attitude Era, and I am excited. I don't care how much money that game is going to be. I'm going to have to drop probably about $120 just to play a wrestling game. I did it last year. I'll do it again. Let's take a break. This is the Early Bird Special. Join us on all social media platforms as well. Facebook, TikTok, Twitch, YouTube, all that type of good stuff. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Early bird special right here on KGEO Sports Talk, 101.1 FM, 1230 AM. And it's a Tuesday at 8 o'clock, so you know what time it is. It's time to talk all things wrestling with our guy 24KG, as the WWE just announced its latest cover athlete for 2K26. And just like MLB The Show, they decided to go back to one they've already had. But it's okay. It's okay. Everybody can forgive that just because it's CM Punk. And we got plenty to talk about ahead of the Royal Rumble. So, my friend, good to see you. Good morning. How are you? How you feeling?
Salutations, gentlemen. I hope you guys had a great weekend. We had a nice Saturday night main event. I'd say a cool little closeout or roundabout to the closing out of SmackDown, title changes and whatnot. Let's get into it and do it.
So let's start with Saturday night's main event real quick, because we saw a couple pretty interesting matches. But the one thing that I had to highlight that just took me away was, did either of you expect Trick Williams to be this over this quickly? I mean, we're talking about an international crowd that was already chanting "whoop that Trick," and this kid just got called up, what, a month ago? I mean, is this a natural thing? Do you think we're going to see somebody potentially skyrocket and just skip over that mid card? Because it looks like he's too big for a mid card.
Well, nobody's ever too big for the mid card, but I kind of want to say, yeah, the potential's been there, but with potential, it's yet to be proven. And I think just over time, how many times they've given him a main event slot, whether it's in NXT, TNA, he's a two-time NXT champion, a TNA world champion. Those are big responsibilities. And if he didn't have broad enough shoulders to handle it, I don't think he would have the trust of the upper management to continue this cascade of overwhelming embracement we're seeing with somebody straight out of the Performance Center in Florida going international. With a little help from Booker T on the ad libs, you can't go wrong with that. But the endorsements all the way around, from the coaches to the higher office staff, Shawn Michaels, Matt Bloom, Triple H himself. I've even heard on commentary Wade Barrett and others compare the electricity that this guy has, and this is his rookie year on the main roster, to one of Dwayne The Rock Johnson, as far as the charisma, the magnetism, and how whether you want to boo him or cheer him, you're still singing "Whoop That Trick," which is something that WWE can market, monetize, and really push in your face, much like every other thing that's catchy that they can get a hold of these days. We've seen it with the Uso, we've seen it with the LA Knight. This is just the next wave on the beach. And we'll see what happens once that tide rolls back and he really has to prove himself.
Should Carmelo be a little jealous? Because I mean,
I'm gonna keep it real. I would be so happy for my boy.
But I'd be jealous as hell. Let's be honest, dude.
Hey, I'm gonna keep it real, because if you know the history between them and you've seen how their grind came up, you would think that would be Melo, but nonetheless, because of how they booked Melo, and Melo don't look like Trick, he's not built like Trick, but the potential was always there. Even with most pairings, as you can really compare these guys to, the closest thing I'll get to it, because we got to move on, is Shawn Michaels and Diesel.
Well, I was going to go Triple H, but yeah, no, I'll go Shawn Michaels, Triple H, really.
Like that one right there, because the bigger guy came in as the heavy, the bodyguard, the understudy.
True.
And then once Melo started to move up, it was just a natural evolution for them to slide Trick in that moniker, that bravado, that character, and see how he excelled in it, because they were a package deal. These guys are kind of cut from the same cloth, cocky, athletic. Nobody can stop me
again eventually.
Oh yeah,
and that will happen eventually.
Yeah, that was a great series. That was a great feud down there in NXT. So I wouldn't be surprised if WWE runs it back one more time for the fans on the main roster that aren't aware of it, and how good of a product it was for them to get in the ring.
They gave us Melo and Ilya already, which was also a fantastic rivalry for Melo down in NXT. But I don't know. I agree. I think we're moving towards that. But obviously, that match ended with Sami Zayn getting the haluva kick over on Damian Priest. Not the person I thought that was going to be eating the pin, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Sami moving forward now is the #1 contender will be taking on Drew McIntyre this weekend at Royal Rumble in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, something we all really saw coming. But how is this one going to end? Because I have a big just feeling in my gut that we're going to get interference, not only from Cody, but from Jacob in this. And we're inevitably going to get a 4-way between these 4 athletes.
Well, first thing I want to say is how rushed this Royal Rumble felt, how under promoted this Royal Rumble felt. Just because it's in Riyadh, I felt like they didn't have to promote as hard in the States. I'm pretty sure overseas, commercials, everything going crazy, spamming out the wazoo. But we're just not seeing it here. And maybe that'll translate over to them not feeling like they have to really push the tickets or expect people to internationally travel for a Royal Rumble in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. But it just doesn't feel complete. We have a women's Royal Rumble. We have a men's Royal Rumble matches. We have the AJ Styles match for his career versus Gunther, who I just don't see how they're going to book this out cleanly. Somebody has to lose. Gunther's going to lose some momentum. I just don't feel like he's that guy. They wasted the whole Cena, taking the loss to him. If this is how they're presenting him, WWE's always got something in the can. Creative has always got some kind of pitch, some kind of angle. So we'll see how that goes. But nonetheless, I'm kind of losing the interest in Gunther being feared like that unless he just goes on a tear and starts ripping people's head off and retires AJ Styles at the Royal Rumble. If they go through with that, then yes, I totally I will recant what I just said and say, yeah, well, trust the process, and there we go. I have no problem walking that one back because it's left or right with me right now. Because when you look at what else they've got going on, it's not really built that high up on the card for a deep match series, because we know each one of these Royal Rumbles is about an hour. Okay, we've got the people that they've already announced or proclaimed their participation in it. So whoever else we're going to see is going to be surprised, down the line, whatever order it is. But also the Undisputed Championship match with Sami Zayn and Drew McIntyre, what you spoke on is, are they really going to have Sami take a loss in Riyadh? Or are they really going to, these things, are they going to take the title off of Drew? How is this interference going to happen nonetheless throughout the rest of the build of this Royal Rumble, which feels a few matches short? Now, maybe we'll see it fan out through the course of this week, of course, on SmackDown.
Well, we kind of promptly add. That was going to be my next question is Finn and CM Punk happening this weekend? Because with the buildup from last night and how everything went, obviously Finn not getting into the Rumble because now all the spots are filled. He attacks CM Punk in that championship match with AJ at the end. And it really does seem like they are trying to build up a Finn Balor match against CM Punk at a PLE. So
well, if they can squeeze it in there, I think it's definitely going to happen. And that would be the place to do it.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, I think CM Punk is giving us, I think maybe John Cena just inspired the crap out of everybody to really put forth a lot of good matches, because what we just seen with AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura on Saturday night, in no way does this guy look like he's ready to retire.
Match of the year,
I mean, literally, it's kind of, like they say, you want to be able to walk away from the game with your dignity and your health intact. And if AJ Styles feels like it's his time to walk away, even though as fans, we don't see it, he sees it, he feels it, now would be a better time than any.
I don't see him cutting it short, though. I don't see him, because he said 2026 was his last year. You really think he's going to cut it short in January?
Yep.
We never know what his body is feeling like in the reality of.
Hear me out on this.
But storyline wise, who knows? Gunther could end his career right here. He said his WWE career, and this guy could pop up in TNA. And finish out where he's from.
That's entirely possible. And I mean,
we never know.
I personally think it's over. I think, I saw some posts over the weekend of just like this reunion tour has been going on for over a year
without any of us even knowing.
Yeah. And because we were so, bottled up with the Cena tour and all the other things. And I think even the falls he was taking last night, I was like, man, maybe it is time. Maybe it is time.
There are certain moments in AJ's matches where I'm like, oh God, the retirement's coming. And there are certain matches, just like KG said against Shinsuke, where I'm like, dude, you could go for another 15 years. Like, I really don't know where he is in the game at the moment, because he's just really at that awkward area of, he hasn't really lost it yet, but you have seen moments where he slipped up just enough where you're like, oh God, is the slipping coming? You know what I mean?
You know, hey, I can take, for instance, the couple tag matches back with him and Dragon Lee, where the end, he fell off of that
on the
rope.
phenomenal forearm.
Yeah, and it was like through no interference. It was just, hey, we starting to see what you're talking about. But nonetheless, it doesn't take away anything from a phenomenal, pun intended, career from AJ Styles. One thing I'm really worried about is the Sami Zayn Drew McIntyre undisputed title match. Seeing as how they've kind of booked themselves into a corner. This can't end clean. Nobody's going to go over. It's going to be a botch finish. You know what I mean? Botch, a smash, whatever.
That's why it
interference, however it goes.
Yeah, it has to end with an interference, especially with the way that Saturday night's main event ended, with him getting involved with Jacob and Cody's match. Like, there's the only thing I can think of is some sort of interference by those two, which is going to cause all of this.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, that opens up the question I had, because last week we were talking about it and we all thought Sammy was going to win the Rumble.
Yeah. No.
So,
yeah.
He's going to win the Rumble now.
Okay. Let me flip this on you guys, because I got a question for you. Who do you think wins the women's and men's Royal Rumble? But also, who do you think has because every year there's a standout performer, whether it's somebody that goes from one to the end and doesn't win or whatever. So
like
who is
last year?
Exactly. Who are your winners and who are your all-star or standout performers from this year's upcoming Rumble?
Winner from the women, I'm going with Jordynne Grace, because I think they have been building up this rivalry between her and Jade Cargill for a while now, and you need the payoff. It would only make sense she wins. Plus, she is an absolute powerhouse and has been one of those names that they brought in a couple years ago in the Royal Rumble, had a great showing, and to be honest, really hasn't gotten her limelight since then. They moved her down to NXT, and she really hasn't been seen since. The biggest surprise, though, I think, is going to be Blake Monroe. I think Monroe gets thrown in here, or Jada Parker. One of those two come in, and they're going to last a long time. They won't win, but that's going to be the outlier, I think, on the women's side. The men's side is so up in the air, I really could not tell you. Randy would be interesting because this is his first Royal Rumble in years. Roman would be interesting just because, obviously, the storylines you can build between CM Punk and Drew McIntyre and Roman Reigns. I really could not give you an answer right now on who I believe is going to win the men's side, because I do believe this might be the year as well that one of those big pop surprises does end up winning for the men, because that hasn't happened in a long time.
Okay. What you got for us, Spark?
Out for the men, I'm giving it to Javon Evans. Javon's too big right now. I think he's going to come out and just show out.
Is he all right?
Okay.
Yeah, he seems fine. He was at the show yesterday saying he wants a match with AJ, and he did put himself in the Rumble last night as well. So I'm assuming he's healthy.
Let's pray.
I mean, I like the Jordynne Grace one. That's what I was leaning on, but I'll throw a curveball. I'll go with Bianca.
I did not consider Bianca coming back in this.
I could see Bianca coming back. I could see her, somebody's got to be up in that mix with Jade too. So I think they can throw her in. And, on the men's side, I mean, the easy route, I would say it could go, Cody or Orton. But I can also see, what's his name? The dude from Division, the newer guy.
Austin Theory.
I could see Austin Theory and teaming up and kind of extending that story just a little bit farther once Seth shows up. I know ESPN had the interview yesterday. They came out and he announced, you're coming back. And of course, immediately Seth came back out this morning and saying, I'm not ready. I'm not ready.
Healthy. No,
but I mean, if Seth is there, I would take 100%.
So I'm glad you brought that up, because that was going to be my next transition, was the promo, or at least the vignette that we saw of the Vision, where Logan Paul stands up and says, we all need to make sure that Braun wins the Royal Rumble. Did that surprise any of you like it surprised me that we got that kind of a thing from Logan of all people?
Well,
You think this ties in? Because personally, that was the first little inkling where I sat there and said, Logan and Seth might be working together.
Let me walk you through this. I'm glad that you brought that up, Chris, because Seth Rollins was going to be my surprise for standout as far as that in the Rumble. If not Seth Rollins.
Well, I'm sorry not to cut you off, but since you're bringing up Seth Rollins and injuries and whatnot, Kevin Owens also apparently just shot up to the top of the list of potential winners for the Rumble in betting odds.
Come on now. If that would be possible, that couldn't happen.
And if we get a face-off between him and Chris Jericho at some point in this match, dude, oh my God.
I think the fans will be satiated. But nonetheless, if not Seth Rollins, we got to look at one of our standouts who's expected to be a superstar, who would say he's not already, Obafemi. Standout performer, definitely clearing house. It's too many variables and storylines to say, like how you said earlier about who you think is going to win the Rumble exactly. But if anybody is to show up and compete in it, I would say Seth Rollins. Just because it's just obviously there. Now for the women's, I think we all agree Jordynne Grace is the next in line to either dethrone or
at least
contend.
get a shot at Jade.
Yeah, because
I don't know if she beats Jade, but she definitely gets a shot at Jade.
Well, much like how Tiffany's run ended up, when you go through everybody and there's nobody left, how do they book that?
That's another name that I forgot about. Where's Tiffy and all?
She's definitely coming back. This is somebody who could also be a standout in the Women's Royal Rumble, but I would have to say standout performer, Lash Legend. They're probably going to have her eliminate double digits in the women's, and then somebody gets the best of her or whatnot, maybe even a Tiffany Stratton upon her return. That's how we're looking. That's how we're looking. As far as you also have the Raquel and Stephanie match, I believe.
No, that's on Monday. That's going to be on Monday.
That's Monday. Okay, so with this sudden title opportunity that's coming up, also the implosion of Judgment Day, we also got fuel to the fire for the whole CM Punk Finn Balor feud that's coming up. I really think this is the end of Judgment Day. And just to throw a monkey wrench in there, we might even see Liv Morgan win the Women's Royal Rumble.
She does last very long. Yeah. She has a history of coming up second in a lot of these, so it wouldn't surprise me at all. Plus, she is a main eventer, and I think they've just put her in a tag team right now just to get her rust off, essentially, for now, and giving Raquel obviously a shot at Stephanie. But it wouldn't surprise me if, obviously, like you said, we get the Raquel match on Monday against Stephanie and Liv wins and is sitting there ringside waiting. And then you get the entire storyline of, is Liv going to, stab Raquel in the back to potentially get that belt back? Because that is the storyline that the WWE loves to play.
We've been saying the Judgment Day is going to break up since the beginning of the show.
At this point, it's the Bullet Club, dude. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
I think what KG said a couple weeks ago is more likely what's happening here, which is they're just going to make it an all-female faction. They may move this into an all-female level. Like it honestly could work. The more I thought about it after you said that, the more I was like, you know what? This really is essentially already an all-female faction.
Where's JD?
Hurt, injured, IR.
I'm hoping he's one of the pops. Like, I'm hoping he's one of the surprises this year. I doubt it, though. I think you'll see Dom.
Just waiting for him to show up during the CM Punk match or something.
Yeah, I think you see Dom, but not JD, and you definitely don't see Finn, as we all know now. And I think that's why we're getting the fifth match, Finn versus CM Punk, because, again, like we just said earlier, there's no way the Drew McIntyre-Sami Zayn match goes the full length. So why not have that one be the short one out of the 5 and then have CM Punk and Finn fill the rest of the time?
Well, kind of like how they dropped the ball. I mean, I was looking forward to the Cody Fatu match.
Yeah.
That was one hell of a brawl. It didn't even get to they never even rang the bell.
Started. Yeah, it never
they gave us a nice little taste of what it could be like. And I think Jacob Fatu showed up in every way, shape, and form beyond people's expectations. He had something to prove with this return. And I think, honestly, with the generations of Samoans that have come, he definitely lives up to what he said. They don't make him like me anymore. Hell, they never made him like me at all in the
Here's the
first
thing, though.
place. And that
There's-
he really is a unique talent, man.
There is a reason, though, they are building Jacob like this. And I think
Yeah.
it's solely because they're planning to bring Zilla in very soon. There was
I
an
hope so.
interview that I saw not too long ago between Zilla and I can't tell you what the journalism place was, but he was talking about Jacob specifically and how close he and Jacob are. And they're like,
Oh yeah, they're like brothers.
And they do all of this type of stuff together. They talk every day. And to be honest with you, if you
They have
set
very
up
similar
a
stories.
faction of Jacob and Zilla, and then like we talked about months ago when it came to the Solo Sikoa becoming the renegade Samoan kind of thing, why not make them the renegade Samoans? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why not? Because Jacob's not running with anybody. He doesn't want to run with anybody. He has his family, and honestly, that might just be the future of this whole bloodline story, is that all of these Fatu members of the family all break off into their own bloodlines and clash with each other every so often.
So off of that, I mean, let me throw these two names out because I'm hearing a lot, and I know one of them, or I think maybe even both of them, have been on the WrestleMania posters.
Yep.
But what about Brock
has
and
been
Roman?
MIA. Roman, I think, has a chance of winning.
Definitely has a chance of winning, but I think it's going to come down to him being eliminated by someone to further or advance a storyline that has to do with something bigger than the title. Eventually, we'll see Roman back in the title picture again, but I don't think it's going to be in the way that we imagine it to be. You got to remember, this guy went on almost 4 years of carrying the company out of the dark ages of COVID.
Yeah.
Okay. There's nobody that'll ever hold the titles like he did. Hell, they did so much with him and that one title, they had to create another one for the show, and he went and won that one. So it's like, that's kind of something special that I don't see them repeating too often with him. He might get 1 or 2 more reigns before we know he's officially retiring. But until then, when you're Roman Reigns, you're bigger than any title picture.
Right.
That's one thing for sure. He's earned that right.
I believe he did say, much like Becky Lynch, that this next contract that he will be signing will be the last one. I think Becky mentioned that about the one that she just signed, but I do remember seeing and reading that Roman has mentioned that this next contract that he will sign with the WWE will be it, much like Cody Rhodes and a lot of these other guys. And actually, that's a perfect transition to the last thing I wanted to talk to you about, because we've talked about Rumble now for an extensive amount of time, and it will be this Saturday at Riyadh. If you are a WWE fan, or if you're just a wrestling fan, this is one of the best pay-per-views to go watch. And I'm going to float this idea to both of you, but I'm thinking about a viewing party for the three of us, if you would like to actually do that. Or if the listeners would actually love to sit in and watch this with us. But the main thing, and I know you hate when I bring this company up, but I have to, because this talking point was just damn too enticing. MJF came out last week taking shots at the WWE, saying that AEW is better because the WWE and all of their biggest names are all aging out superstars. They're all guys well above their 40s and are going to be out of the company within 10 years. And that is what makes AEW better. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, he's right, but just for now.
Right.
like, bro, how you gonna talk crap about somewhere you want to be?
Well, I mean,
whether it's for soundbite purposes or whatnot, eventually he'll end up in WWE. Like everybody that says something about WWE. Yeah, no doubt. But you know how it is. They humble you over there.
Look,
they humble you. You come from over there talking like that. Hey, this guy's 26 and got the world in front of him, and he is an undeniable generational talent. Yep. He is the best thing that AEW has.
Here's the thing.
He is going to get top dollar for that. But he's not really wrong about it either.
No, but
all those guys are up there.
Listening. The comparison that I made with my friend earlier that I'm going to make the two of you, this is the Bills talking about the Patriots. Okay.
God,
this is the Bills when they first got Josh Allen and Brady was on his way out, and they're sitting there saying, he's the old man. He's out of here. He's not the guy. And then you get the 1 or 2 years where it was kind of bad for the Patriots. That's where we're in right now for the WWE. And then you get the new blood in there, and they're right back up to the top. So it's like, I cannot say that AEW is better in that way just because of the age range. But I saw that and had to get your thoughts on it just because
Well,
I
it's a
find it to be
business. You know what he
ridiculous.
was doing.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
He knows what he's
He's
Yeah.
doing.
riling it up.
And just so we know, it is at 11 a.m.
Oh, it's 11 a.m.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yes.
2 p.m. Eastern.
Fantastic.
You
But again,
know, I
Which works
can't
perfectly,
really
you know,
speak
right?
on MJF more so than his talent, but you know, when we have some time to go into the Trey Miguel AEW situation and MJF's involvement in,
I mean, we
that,
got a little bit of time right now in the next 3
you
minutes.
know,
We got time to break it down.
well, if you know about the Rascals, which
Yep.
most people probably don't, I'm pretty sure Warner Brothers executives weren't aware of the fact that one of the Rascals members, but when they signed him upon the contract, had some you know, issues on Facebook like 12 years ago. Apologized for it. It was when he was working for an independent wrestling company. He ended up getting fired for some things that he said. Okay, now he
Well,
got
now
fired from.
be
Wait a
specific
minute.
though, because there was some
Yeah,
serious
hey,
allegations.
no. Just basically back and forth banter with a fan that was really derogatory in every sense, back and forth. But you know, in those situations, you live and you learn, but the internet never forgets. Okay.
True.
So anyway, these things get brought up the day after he gets signed. For some reason, he gets fired. They say it came from the higher up. The higher up is Tony Khan. Can't be reached, but it turns out he used to date MJF's current wife.
Yep.
Now, if that's a problem, I don't know if it's going to relate to
Well,
him having the stroke to get in his boss's ear and say, hey, let this guy go. We found this about him, to make it the nudge professionally a little
yeah.
bit easier, since some of those comments, you know, were not just
Questionable. Let's just
no,
be questionable.
they weren't questionable. They was just wrong to say, period.
Yeah.
You know, you just
Yeah.
can't do that. You know what I mean? So, but he did apologize
Well-
for it. It was over a decade ago, and the world had moved on. But sometimes they never let you forget. Now, AEW is not WWE.
No.
Certain things are vetted a little better, certain things aren't, like the case with Enzo Amore. This guy lost his job before anything ever happened, just off accusations. So I
Man,
would
that
think
guy-
somebody's character, their real life character and who they are, has more to do with whether or not you keep your position at a company when faced with certain things like that. You know, we've seen this happen with celebrities multiple times in the media, and it's nonetheless with professional athletes or professional wrestlers.
No, I agree 100%. And honestly, the Enzo Amore story is terrible because that guy
Yeah.
should be in a professional wrestling ring
Yeah.
right now. I mean, he's in the indies, but he should be in WWE. He was one of the most captivating men with a microphone. And
Yeah.
for his partner to come out and call him dead weight too. And let's be honest, Big Cass ain't nothing. Big Cass
Nah.
ain't been nothing since he left. He hadn't been nothing. He's been clinging on to every big name he could possibly think of. So that's the last man I'm going to listen to.
You know, one thing I really respect about Enzo Amore is his grind that he's continuing to be
Yes.
on. He has a documentary out right now on YouTube.
Can't wait to watch that.
And he was one of the last people to learn from Dusty Rhodes,
Yes.
which is one of the best minds in the business to be under and learn the craft that we're all talking about right now in $1 billion industry. So
And it sucks too. And going back to the Rascal situation before we let you go, because I feel for that group so much. They're so
Yeah.
fun to watch. Wesley, Wentz, and all the guys are fantastic, especially when they're together. And they get a lot of negative publicity for being stoners, and that's kind of their gimmick, is that they're all stoners.
they're like the children of Rob Van Dam.
Right.
It's great.
And it's fantastic, dude. It's so much fun to watch. But all the outside the ring stuff that has happened to these guys, I mean,
It's terrible.
Wentz going
It's
through
terrible.
the anti-Semitic stuff, and this going through obviously losing a job just because your ex-girlfriend works there. Like they have gone through some of the worst luck, dude, in the professional
Hey,
realm.
man, they got to pick your battles and know what hill to die on. That's all I can
Money-
tell these kids these
WWE.
days, man.
If WWE would just get over the weed thing, they would have had a long-standing thing there. Honestly, the faction would have worked
Well.
great there, but they just can't
Well.
get over the weed thing. I really don't get it, but it is what it is. My friend, we have run out of time, though. We appreciate your time. And again, if listeners are interested, I am thinking about doing a watch party for Royal Rumble. It's one of those big PLEs that we all love to get together to watch anyway. So why not throw it on the internet and see what you guys think and react with us and all that type of stuff. So if everybody here is willing to do that, I'd be willing to do that. And we'll see what we can get going for this weekend. But, sir, thank you so much for your time as always. And we will talk to you next week. Peace out, my friend. This is the Early Bird Special. We will be right back.
You thought my
Welcome back. This is the early bird special. Well,
Just a heads up. I have a friend that's a business owner,
oh,
and just watch if you're posting viewing parties with the WWE
true.
because they are hawking businesses out or not having licenses or permits. So just,
Well,
I
again,
know it's Super Bowl, the big game. I mean, my bad. My
well,
bad.
no, we could say Super Bowl. We just can't advertise anything.
Thank you for Westwood One. But yeah, there is there is
Well, again, it's just a thought. It's not even necessarily a watch party. It's probably just going to be a stream of us. Like I know we can't show the actual screen. Let's not get crazy here, people. I'm not going to be funneling it so people don't have to pay to watch the Royal Rumble.
this one was yeah, he had a viewer show up and was streaming it on his phone.
Yeah.
And that was the problem.
Yeah.
And quick, WWE reached out
And
and
said, "Hey,
wanted a
none of that."
receipt.
Yeah, none of
So
that.
I didn't know that it was that big of a deal, but yeah.
No,
it
I
is.
mean, again, it is that big of a deal. That's what I'm saying. You're absolutely right. When I say watch party,
Oh, I wasn't talking about you. I was
necessarily-
just talking about in general because I see a lot of wing places. I see
Yeah.
a lot of places, and they'll put
Well,
up
'cause
the
they-
game poster or whatever it is.
Yeah, if you are at a sports bar and they're playing football legally, that has to be NFL ticket, right? They have to pay for NFL ticket in order to actually play it in their bars, which is wild. But I mean, that's just how sports are these days.
Yep.
Everybody wants their cut and everybody wants their money. I get it, but at the same time, I'm in the fan zone here, man. I'm like, dude, let it just
I'm not trying to
make it
make money
easier.
off you, homie.
Yeah, just make it easier. We're just trying to spread the love here, man. That's all that's happening.
Did you know Sam Darnold? Is it true that he's the first USC quarterback to start in a Super Bowl?
Yeah, no.
At
Or
first,
least
when I
in
read
modern
it,
era
I
for
was like,
sure.
really?
Modern era for sure. Because Sanchez never got there, obviously. Leinart never got there. Palmer never got there.
And if they did, they didn't start.
Yeah, John David Booty never got there. Yeah, no, and if they did, they never started. So yeah, no, as a starter.
That's wild.
But again, it's the USC quarterbacks, man. Like if there's one school that's known for having overhyped QBs, it's USC, and I'm a SC fan, so I'll be the first one to tell you. But yeah, no, this is it's a new thing for USC fandom. We aren't used to this. We're not. But it's also really cool to see that Sam Darnold is the first quarterback from his draft class to make it as well. And this was the same draft class that had Baker and Lamar and a lot of these other great quarterbacks. Now it also had Josh Rosen, but no one talks about him anymore. And I'm happy that he's the first one too. The story that has come from Sam Darnold is incredible. I mean, we're talking about a guy who came in really high drafted by the Jets. We all know how it goes when you play for the Jets. And he had a really rough first couple years as a very, very young quarterback. I believe, if I remember correctly, he came in at 19, 20 years old. He was very young at the time. And the first, Sparky, 5-6 years of his career, he bounced around from team to team, was benched multiple times, given up on by multiple franchises. Now, again, all losing franchises, but they are all losing franchises. Then he goes to the 49ers, has a little bit of a stint. The Vikings say, you know what? We can believe in you. They bring him in. Kevin O'Connell absolutely reignites his entire career. And then the Vikings sit there and say, nah, we don't need you anymore. We got somebody younger than you. Kick him to the curb again just for him to go to Seattle with getting a contract that was originally given to Geno Smith. And they just said, you know what? Geno don't want this. How about you? Do you want this? And then takes this team to the Super Bowl.
And wasn't Darnold brought over to Minnesota more as a veteran backup?
Yes, he was supposed
And
to be
then
the
the rookie
backup
got
to
hurt?
JJ, and JJ got hurt. Yes, absolutely.
So where do the Vikings, you think, now that we're talking about, his stops, where do you think Minnesota sits now? Because now
Absolutely
they've seen
beside themselves.
they've now seen JJ. He's injury prone. And
Honestly, you have to be sitting there considering this may need a punt.
Well, I only bring that up because I was listening to Toll this morning on the way in, and he said, call me crazy, call me whatever you want, but I think full circle, he thinks that Aaron Rodgers goes to the Vikings.
No, I think Aaron's done. I genuinely, I know that's always going to be a concept or at least a thought
for
process
the next
until
month or so.
he retires, but I can't see it.
Rodgers came out and said, I haven't made my decision. I will not wait until August, and I'll give you guys a straight answer in August or in the next month. I mean, not August. But if I was Aaron Rodgers, and I still think I can play at a caliber to get a team to a playoff,
true,
and I can go to a team with a tough defense, and you're going to give me
all the weapons in the
all
world.
the weapons in Minnesota, I think that's an easy choice.
That's very enticing, and honestly, I see why everybody would think, yeah, hell yeah, he would go there. But again, I think not to relate this to wrestling for those of you who don't care for it, but it is kind of like the AJ Styles thing. There were moments during last season where we said Aaron still got it. Aaron can still sling it. And maybe this just isn't the right offense that he needs to be in. I've been a big proponent of that.
Yeah, we said that when he went to Pittsburgh. I was like, really?
But there are also glaring things that are making me believe, yeah, the end is upon us. It is definitely here. Now, and the other thing that I think Aaron's probably going to have to weigh in his head too is, does he want to end it the way it ended? I mean, that loss, the last throw of your career is a pick six, and you are known as one of the most accurate and what's the word I'm looking for here, Sparky? You beneficial quarterbacks, I guess. Yeah. Not the word I'm looking for, but you get what I mean. He's efficient. Efficient quarterbacks is the one I'm looking for. And yeah, no, it would make all the sense in the world, especially if they could figure out the whole Jordan Addison situation, keep him out of trouble. Yeah, I could see it being a possibility, I guess, but
I don't see him going to anywhere else.
No. If it's not Pittsburgh, it's Minnesota, but there's no chance he
And see, Schefter and all of them, they had that talk yesterday, and they agreed with everything you told me yesterday. He said, I don't think people remember how deep that cut was with McCarthy and Rodgers. He is not going to Pittsburgh.
No.
And with Pittsburgh changing all of the things, with Arthur gone, Tomlin gone, it just isn't in the cards.
And again, Packer fans, feel free to text in and tighten me up if I'm misspeaking here. But if I remember correctly, Aaron got him fired. Or at least that was the narrative, was that Aaron got Mike fired because they couldn't win another Super Bowl with him. And then that's when LaFleur came in. And then when LaFleur was the quarterback coach of Atlanta and everyone was saying, oh, he's going to be the guy to help Aaron get to the Super Bowl. And then that didn't work out because the two of them were butting heads.
Yeah, and it was a big rival because he went to Dallas and it was Dallas and McCarthy against Rodgers and blah, 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 blah.
And that's what I'm saying. I think I have to say that just because it's like, I think everybody genuinely forgets that they didn't end that relationship well. Like they didn't. I'm sure McCarthy has come out and said, oh, it is what it is. And he's forgiven and forgotten. But that honestly doesn't mean things have changed. Doesn't mean Aaron would just jump at a chance to go play with his old coach again, even if he played with him for 13 years. And granted, that's the coach that got him to the Super Bowl. But there's also no guarantee that he does that with Pittsburgh. So that's why I'm sitting here thinking, like, I don't think Aaron's coming back at all. I think Aaron's just going to hang it up. The only thing that I can honestly see is the points you're making right now, Sparky, that would entice him. One, if the Vikings gave him a lucrative contract. Two, if he really is that competitive still and says, I'm not ending my freaking career on a loss and a pick six at that. Like, maybe that all does factor in Aaron's head and we get an answer. And maybe it is the longer we wait, the more possibility that he stays. That's also in the air.
So it's just one of those things. And we brought it up before we went to break, but with a few coaches vacancies still left, I am still laughing because I got to hear some side interviews from a Chargers reporter with Mike McDaniel.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard from other people that were interviewed by the Cleveland Browns, and another guy is jumping out. They're like, nope. And Mike McDaniel reacted and laughed when he was asked because the Cleveland Browns are asking these vacancy people that are coming in for interviews
to take
a personality check, a test, and then they leave them with homework.
Yep.
And Mike McCarthy laughed and said, yeah, it's true.
No, it's absolutely, I've heard that as well. And that's why I genuinely believe, especially when it comes to this Browns gig and honestly, somewhat the Bills, but those owners have lost their ever-loving minds. They really have. Like, don't get me wrong. I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to assess the intelligence level of their next head coach. But you're going to sit there and think that Kevin Stefanski wasn't a intelligent coach? No, it's what you have done. It is how you are structuring the team and how you're building it. Like, okay, for some people who haven't been following, Grant Udinsky, the offensive coordinator for the Jacksonville Jaguars, just shot the job down yesterday because he doesn't want it. And the only job he's leaving Jacksonville for, so he says, is the Buffalo Bills. And honestly, that's pretty much the consensus from all of the coordinators that have signed jobs, including McDaniel, and I would assume Brian Flores, that unless the Bills call and say, hey, we want you as a head coach, they're probably not leaving. And a lot of these leftover jobs are very, 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 very rough to take if you're a coach. Because even the Philadelphia Eagles, who haven't found an offensive coordinator, do you want to be the offensive coordinator in Philadelphia? Right. Because one, we've already talked about the fan base being at absolute odds when it comes to Nick Sirianni, which means if you have a bad first 4 weeks of the season, they're going to have your butt on a pike just like they did the last guy, and you're going to get your job taken away from you. And it's kind of the same thing with the Cleveland Browns. Like, they have not had success at all, no matter who's been the coach. And you had a coach that was a 2-time coach of the year. Now, granted, I've said this a million times. The guy's sabotage of Shador is what led to the firing. But you're still a 2-time coach of the year. And for the Browns to not have had success, even though you've had that kind of success, shows that the franchise might have some issues. Plus, it's Cleveland. I mean, can anybody listen to me right now really say that you would take the head coaching job in Cleveland? Browns? Like, no, I can't say a lot of you would. But Adam Schefter has come out and said that most of the vacancies, if not all of them, should be taken up by the middle of this week. We won't play the audio right now, Sparky, but the one I do want to play is Andy Reid. So one of the coaches that has been kind of getting interviews, but not really getting the respect that I think that a lot of the coaches in the NFL were expecting, is Matt Nagy, former head coach of the Chicago Bears. And I believe he was the offensive coordinator last year for the Chiefs. He was one of the coordinators for the Chiefs. And Andy Reid, now obviously we have heard that he's brought back Eric Bieniemy to be the offensive coordinator while Matt Nagy was taking interviews for head coaching gigs. But it seems to me that Nagy's name has really fallen off most of these coaching lists most of these teams coaching lists, potential coaches coming in. And Andy came out and defended his coach in a beautiful way. And let's play this real quick.
Matt and I have a great relationship, and here he sits, and before the season, before the season even started here, I knew that he wanted an opportunity to have his own show. He's been a head coach. He was coach of the year. I mean, this guy, all the things I've said about him, I still feel about him. There's nothing different there. He deserves to have a head coaching job. And if not, it gives him an opportunity to go out and do his thing. I would have told you the same thing about EB when he did it. It gave him an opportunity to go out and do their thing. So there was no signage of rollovers and all that. He wanted to just keep it that way. Word gets out on that and give him an opportunity. And I mean, somebody's missing a gym here. That's how I feel. And I would love to see him get picked up and going. And at the same time, we got back a gym. So it's a win. It has a chance to be a win-win here when everything's said and done.
So first and foremost, I have to highlight that this is probably the greatest recommendation for any coach in the NFL is for someone like Andy Reid to come out and call you a gym. I think this guy just got the golden ticket to get a coaching job anywhere, really.
He did the same with Bieniemy.
He did. And honestly, that's what I love about Andy Reid is that he will go to bat for his guys no matter who it is. Matt Nagy had a rough start as a head coach with the Bears, and honestly got fired because he wasn't the right coach to really make the Bears what they are today. They have the coach for that. But that doesn't mean Matt Nagy is a bad coach. But with this recommendation and this, this call from Andy Reid, do you think Matt gets one of these head coaching jobs that are still available, like the Browns or maybe the Raiders? Or the thought that I have, do you think Nagy just says, you know what? I'm going to take a shot at the college level like Eric did. and go down there and be a head coach down in the NCAA level?
I think he'd be a good pick for the Bills. I think he'd be a good pick for the Raiders.
I think it'd be a great pick for the Raiders.
I just don't think either one of them will do it.
The Raiders had a favorite. I heard it yesterday from Schefter, and I can't remember who it is currently, but the Raiders coach most likely will be. I think it was Kubiak.
Well, I'm hearing is Brady.
Right. Did you hear Brady?
He's at his second interview, and they're locked into him and a couple other guys.
I can't remember who. I know it was an offensive-minded guy, so I'm assuming it's either Kubiak or Brady. I think you're right on that one. But the Raiders most likely will be choosing an offensive-minded guy. I just think, I believe that Matt Nagy would be a great college coach. I really do. I think if he goes down there, much like Eric did, maybe do a coordinator gig for somebody like Lane or somebody, like that for a year, and then you really get started, he could be one of the better college coaches. I think he's a player's coach that really could connect with a lot of these younger guys better that way. But like I said, when I heard Andy Reid go to bat for him yesterday, I was like, man, you could not have a better recommendation letter. You really couldn't. A multi-time Super Bowl winning coach, one of the most beloved coaches in all of football. And he's sitting here calling you a gem. He's calling you the next big guy. And honestly, I was going to transition this into the Mike Tomlin tree conversation, but we'll get into that tomorrow because James Harrison took a wild shot at his former coach over the weekend, or maybe it was last week. And I have to highlight this because I think that the arguments against him, at least from Harrison's perspective, one, we keep moving the goalpost with this guy and it's ridiculous. But two, to say that this guy's not a Hall of Fame coach because he doesn't have a coaching tree underneath him that has expanded to the rest of the league is wild to me. Because you could say the same thing about Andy. I mean, Spagnuolo hasn't gone anywhere. Bieniemy never got a job. Now we're looking at Matt Nagy. But are we going to sit there and say Andy Reid's not a head coach or a Hall of Fame head coach? Let's backtrack on that. And honestly, Cam Newton said it beautifully in his pod as well. You can go check that out on his Instagram if you want. But we are out of time. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. We'll get into more of this stuff tomorrow, including former Giants head coach Mike Kafka joining the Detroit Lions in some sort of offensive coaching gig. I think that's a great move because, once again, I think Dan Campbell is realizing the more head coaches I have on this staff, the better we get. That's an interesting thought, Dan. Let's see how it works for you next season. But we got to get out of here for the day. Join us tomorrow. We'll have our guy Jay Bird in here talking about his upcoming comedy show. Plus our guy Bolt Brady that's Thursday. I'm sorry. That's Thursday. Holt is tomorrow. The Condors on an absolute tear. And we'll talk to him about that tomorrow. But until then, this has been the Early Bird Special. Sparky, let's get out of here.